Hey everybody, it's Anna J. Walner with the Author Library, and today I am ecstatic to have with me Diane Zinna. Diane, would you like to introduce yourself for those of you who don't know who you are?
Hi, everybody. I'm Diane Zinna, and I'm the author of the AllNight Sun. I'm a mom, and I'm a longtime teacher of creative writing and a big believer of literary citizenship and giving back to the literary world. And I'm just so happy to be with you, Anna.
I'm so grateful that you decided to come on the show today. Diane is the author of The AllNight Sun, as she said, which, guys, if you haven't heard of this book, it is skyrocketing in popularity at the moment. And it's your debut novel. I mean, what does that feel like to have something right out of the gate just explode in popularity like this?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It was a long journey, so it doesn't feel like an explosion. It feels like it's been 13 years in the making, behind the scenes, every book that you see on the bookshelf, it usually has a journey all its own. And for some of them, they're really rocky and circuitous, and mine certainly was. 13 years from that initial idea until it started getting into people's hands. And I am so excited about the way that people are responding to this book. Every letter that I get feels like it's reached exactly the right person, the person who was meant to read this book about transformative friendship, about deep grief. It's really the people it's meant to go to, I think.
That's amazing whenever it really resonates with a certain group of people, especially that can identify with some of the characters and what they've been through and the story itself and really relate, and to get that positive feedback is such an amazing thing for an author, guys. So if you've ever read a book that has touched you in that kind of way, like Diane is saying, she loves to get those messages or comments, on social media or even letters, telling us that that's one of the most rewarding things that we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. The first fan letter I ever got was from someone who just read the acknowledgement section. She was in a bookstore and she just flipped over to the acknowledgements, as I guess some of us do, right? And she said to me that they read to her like a message in a bottle that was written from one writer to another and landed at her feet and was meant for her. And so, I mean, even that kind of thing, someone responding to the acknowledgement section, it can be so moving and make all of those years and all of those heartbreaks along the way worth it.
And thank you for pointing that out. 13 years, in that 13 years, prior to this, you've been in the field of literature for quite some time. So were you writing during this whole time? And what were you doing while you were writing this story, letting it all come together in the way that it did?
Yeah, so I got my MFA. I thought I was going to start publishing in my 20s. And then, life got in the way. I did start teaching, and that was really important to me and very foundational to me. And then I got involved leading one of the largest national associations for creative writers in the US. And that was so rewarding. And I was suddenly having the opportunity to be a part of many writers' lives. And so while I was there, one thing that people might know me from is that I started the Writer to Writer mentorship program. And that was so awesome, Anna. I was able to match more than 600 writers over the course of 12 seasons. So bringing together new writers and writing mentors who just wanted to give back. It was so rewarding, and it really led me to know what kind of teacher I wanted to be. And so when I left that organization due to COVID, as so many people's lives have been reshuffled, but when I left that organization, I remember like one of my favorite writers. I didn't even know she knew who I was, but her name is Pam Houston. And she had heard I left the organization, and she posted on Twitter, you've given so much to other people, now just go and be a writer. And I think I would have been really content sort of walking both paths for a long time. I had that in my mind, that I was going to be a writer and I was also going to be this literary administrator, right? But those words at that time really showed me, okay, maybe this is just a time, where I can enjoy this and I can, embrace it. And so I've been really lucky that the book has allowed me to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people have found that this is, a great time to kind of put a lot of focus on writing and honing their voice as an author. I know I'm one of those who really, well, I mean, whenever you're in lockdown, there's not, a lot to do. You can only clean the house so much. But it really does give you the opportunity to kind of get into the thick of it and really concentrate. And I found that that was really helpful for me. And it sounds like it was for you to really get involved and invested in the story. Is that whenever it really started to come together?
Well, I think that the book had been written. It was written for a long time, and it was just a matter of finding the right agent, the right editor, and boy, did I found the most beautiful team for me. But I think that no matter what I was going to do, I don't think that I could ever just be content, simply writing, simply putting my words out there. It was a time that allowed me to come back to teaching. And so I was able to come back with this understanding of the kind of teacher I really wanted to be. And that was someone who was not giving information dumps, who wasn't just like lecturing from a podium somewhere, but really incorporating some of the principles that I've come to love about mentorship, like really meeting new writers where they are and, giving them that boost along the way, being a cheerleader for them, really showing them the parts of their writing that is shining so that they can embrace that and keep going forward. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like my writing and the writer that I want to be, which is a writer who gives back, that has come together during this time for sure.
Yeah, it is always amazing to be able to inspire someone else with your words. So I guess that was, the note that the friend gave you. That was the time whenever you decided that it was time to finally to go ahead and make the switch and start querying. And is that how you went about it to query agents, or did you already have, because you were already in the literary circle, did you have someone in mind that you wanted to work with already? I mean, how did that come about for you?
Well, it's interesting. I had actually sold the novel several years ago, and I sold it to another publishing house, but that editor who I loved, she moved on to another publishing house, and I remained with the initial one because that's where the contract was. And the person I got reassigned to didn't quite see the book the same way that I did, and so we wound up parting ways. And so my agent stood with me. She was with me all the way through that transition. She went out and found me a new contract. We resold the book, got it with the editor who was always meant to have it, I believe. So yeah, like the writing was long, Anna, but also the journey to getting the book like finally to that final stage was really long too. So all of that was happening over many years. And my agent's been with me for so long, and I don't know what I would do without her. I just trust her completely.
Well, that's a great point that you make, that sometimes it's not, a quick sort of process. The entire writing from the first word to the first draft to the second draft to the editing to the agent to the editor to the revisions to the final copy. I mean, from start to finish, a book can take quite a number of years. So to, I think, see that come to fruition and to see it be so well received, is that a sort of validation in your mind of those 13 years that this journey has been for you?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite authors is Alice McDermott. And I had the opportunity to study with her like right when all of this was happening. And so I remember like going to a writer's conference and she was reviewing my pages for me and she was giving me feedback, and like all the stuff that had been churning up in me about like losing the original contract. Will this ever happen for me? It's already been a decade. What is going on? It all just burst out of me. And I just told her the whole story about it. And she gave me really good advice. First, she really cursed like a sailor on my behalf, which I will always treasure, knowing that the great Alice McDermott had those words for me. But she said, when this book comes out, and she said it that way, when the book comes out, no one's going to remember or even know that it took this long, that there was like this hiccup with the contract and with the editors, right? They'll only know and they'll only feel that it's a book of its time and for its time. And I believe that. And I think that's the message I want a lot of writers who might be listening today, who feel like, when is it ever going to happen for me? If not now, when? Like, it'll happen, I believe, in the time that the book is meant to be launched into the world. I really do believe that. I feel like I'm glad now that it didn't get published when I was in my 20s, when it was with that first publishing house. Everything aligned.
So, and the book has been longlisted for several outstanding achievements. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, I'm so happy, especially this year when I wasn't able to have a book tour. I wasn't able to meet people face to face. And so getting these sorts of acknowledgements has been really important and special to me. And so the first one I got, which was I think it was right before the book launched, was the Center for Fiction, which is a very, very important, very wonderful organization, does so much for the literary community. That long list led me to be able to teach for them. And that's been such an honor this year. And the writing that is coming out of those students in that center is otherworldly. Totally otherworldly. It was longlisted for the Cabell VCU First Novelist Award, which was also really special to me because their first round of nominators are students. And so it just helped me feel connected with people that I love to teach. They weren't my students, but they were people who were plugging away and putting in the work to try to get their books done. So that meant a lot to me. It was a finalist for the Annie Award this year, the inaugural Annie Awards. I love Annie McDonald so much. She does so much to bring people together in community. So that was an honor. And just today, it was nominated for the Zibby Awards. Zibby Owens is a force in the literary community, and she has set up a new set of awards that honor the behind the scenes of the book kind of stuff. And so it's so fun. My book was nominated for Best Acknowledgements. I've already spoken about that. And it was nominated for Best Book Tour, which is hilarious to me because I didn't have a book tour. I couldn't have a book tour. I was locked down with COVID, right? But I'm really proud of what I did do, which was, I think, scrappy and creative and thinking outside the box. When I knew I wasn't going to be able to see people face to face in these cities, I went online and asked my friends, tell me your favorite bookstore in your city. And I came up with like over 100 bookstores from friends. And I reached out to the booksellers at every one of those bookstores and said, I've got a book. Would you like some book plates? And every one of them said yes. And so I was mailing out book plates, which are, like the little guys, right?
Right.
Sign them, and then the person can affix them to the inside cover, and suddenly it's a signed edition, right? And so, all over the country, in every state, my little signature was being affixed into the front covers of books by people who I admire so much, these booksellers who know their communities, who love titles, and who were really having a hard time during COVID with their stores closed, right?
Yes.
So it was just a really wonderful way for me to get connected with that whole landscape and see my book as a little part of this huge, huge landscape of people who believe in literature.
That's awesome. So do you have anything that you're working on now that you can talk about, or just that there is something, I mean, as authors, we always have, you know, an idea or a work in progress that's in the back shelves somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been working on a new novel, and it's almost ready to go, I believe, to my agent to see if she likes it. You know how that is.
Sure she will.
So it's, you know, this last book, The AllNight Sun, it transports people to Sweden during midsummer, but at its heart, it's a book about grief and working through that grief with a transformative type of friend. And this new book is transporting people to Korea. It's also talking about themes of grief, family separation. And so I think that I've got a lot more stories in me that are going to be plumbing the depths of all those kinds of feelings, but I keep setting these stories in different places that I know I would love to show readers in vivid detail. So I think that's going to be my next one. I hope it all works out.
So the AllNight Sun, what do you hope that readers really take away from this book as a message? If you could say that the book has a message, what would it be?
I think, and what I've heard back from people is that it's a representation of true grief, not the kind that gets wrapped up in a little bow at the end, right? You know, it's not going to show you a story where everything works out fine. I tried to write that ending and I could not do it.
Yeah.
But what I did instead was I showed, you know, a feeling of grief, like you're underwater. And the ending to me feels like a first deep breath out of coming up for air. And I hope that the reader knows that for Lauren in this book and for anyone else who's feeling that kind of deep grief, that there could be another breath and another breath after that. And maybe that's the message in the end.
Keep moving forward, to keep going.
Yeah.
I love that. Guys, make sure to check out this amazing book and to keep up with Diane and everything. And the cover is gorgeous as well. And to keep up with everything that she has coming soon. Just thank you so much. I almost called you Lauren from the book. Thank you so much, Diane, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. And everyone else, if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on more great upcoming content. And stay safe, stay healthy. And Diane, it was a pleasure to have you on today. Thank you again so much.
Thank you, Anna, for everything that you do.
All right, you guys have a great day. Bye.